Hello there, sword friends. Today I'm going to do an unboxing and first impressions of some swords from Fidestisan, or Fidelstan. Fidelstan is, I think, how you do it. Anyway, link in the description down below if you see anything you're interested in. These were sent to me for review. I will eventually do a review on them, but I figured I will open them up, see if they arrived in good condition. The boxes look okay, so I'm assuming so, and tell you some first and initial impressions, since that seems to be a thing people like. Now, namely, one thing that they did send was swords in Amazon boxes. So these appear to be domestically held. In the event that you would like to have one of said swords, I think you can get them and not have them shipped out of China. Though they are made likely in China, you don't necessarily have to order one from and have to have the weight or have the potential problems, whatever that's worth. This, incidentally, right away, like the tape is a little yellowed and resealed. I'm thinking that this is a factory second, perhaps, or something that has been opened in the past, would be my guess. But they have boxes with the old name brand on them, and there's some cool logos and stuff, so whatever, neat enough. Now, when I see boxes that have already been opened, as a reviewer, I don't necessarily get to pick and choose. These are sent to me for free. I'm not complaining. The purpose of these, though, is to give you initial impressions on things considered that you are representative of what you could buy yourself. And if this is one that's a factory second, it may not be. Likewise, if it was opened and inspected or ready for defects, equally unlikely that it's exactly what you'd expect. So I'm not sure, but we'll see how the other ones go. Well, it looks pretty new inside. It's also worth noting it's entirely possible that manufacturer gets a return and it's perfectly fine, so they send it to me. That's also the case. Okay, well, they got a little be careful brochure here. That's not going to read it in detail. Looks okay, though. What else am I seeing here? There's some stuff in here. Now, before I look at sword, what is this stuff? This is a very basic sword stand. Okay, well, nifty. Accessories. Honestly, this stuff, I don't find the presentation bad, but the corrugate, the wrapped box, this little stand, the pamphlet, all of these things are things that I don't want to spend more money on, and I want the quality to be in the sword. The Fidestein bag, also not a priority for me. Doesn't make any difference to me. If there's sense that could be taken out of these and put into the quality of the sword, I'd rather that. I also just want a good sword, and I think most people that buy these just want a good sword out of the box. So these inserts and the amount of them, while people aren't necessarily going to agree to pay for them, they do seem to help. It arrived securely. It looks like it was held in good shape. The packing, I'm a little bit of a supply chain nerd, seems good. You've got a bag, which it appears there's, I'm hearing plastic underneath, plastic over the top. It looks like these are geared to hold up in like an Amazon warehouse for a minute. So that much is nice. I like the corrugate in the box and like the double packing and all that kind of stuff. That much I do like. I don't know if people are necessarily going to pay for it, but I do think it will help your swords stay good for longer. Okay, well, right away. Oh, nope, I thought that was a ding. It's not. It's just some plastic. Never mind. There's little black plastic bits on here, but it's all right. I noticed some rippling in the surface, but this is a relatively inexpensive sword. I think it's around $200. I don't remember the exact model number. White on black. This is a little bit of a bold theme for me, a little in your face, but that's a subjective thing. Sageo is meh. Water jet cutout, a little sharp, a little aggressive on the hands. How's the Ito tightness? This is we'll see how it holds up. Some of these feel tight. It's just out of the box. Over the Manuki, though, I can displace the Ito enough where I'm starting to see the wood on the side of the handle. It's displacing quite a lot. So I've yet to train with them or do anything. The diamonds look reasonably even. You know, they're okay, a little wonky now that I move this around. But the Ito appears not to be tight enough for me to say it's good. I'm not sure if it gets a pass. If it does, only just. Fittings are kind of a bamboo mat style theme. Transitions are okay, a little bunchy at the Ito down at the base. Now the plastic on here, I think is generally good. This is this little saran wrap condom around your sword. It keeps the oil on it and keeps it from rusting, especially if they're going to be held and sitting in a warehouse for prolonged periods of time. You want them to to not arrive too rusty. Out of the gate, though, nothing's loose, but I do see a little overlap right here on the habaki. That's not ideal. Surfaces are reasonably smooth, even in the bohi, which is kind of surprising. Doesn't have a lot of ripple in there. It's all right. Blade is in line with the handle. Without cutting it, feels reasonably sharp. Polish on here is not, well, you know, hard to say through the oil, but it's not a clay tempered, differentially hardened, folded blade here. It's just a mono steel blade. It does look like it's reasonably clean. I can make out little tool marks and stuff underneath here, and it looks like it's gone through some additional sharpening steps, if I could guess. It looks like it has a slight additional bevel on here, very slight, but I can make out just the way the light hits it a little differently. It looks like it's either been stropped or honed, or perhaps has another bevel on it. Feels very sharp though. So out of the box, feels quite sharp. Things are reasonably tight. The thing is, in this $200-ish price category, the competition is, lucky for us sword enthusiasts, pretty steep. There's a lot of options. It's tough for me to answer the question on, you know, if I think it's worth it or not out of the gate. I just opened the box. I need to do a review. The things that immediately are concerning is the Ito. That ideally would be a little bit tighter. Otherwise, everything else looks, you know, reasonably par for the course. It holds in there. Not a huge amount of rattle. Draws reasonably easily. Looks like it's not going to be particularly fun to do EI with, but again, that's not uncommon for swords in this price point. As it is, though, nothing out of the gate concerning other than the Ito being a bit on the loose side. So there is one. So Fidestisan sent me 3 swords, and I am going to just open them all, check them out, and go from there. I won't harp on all the same things all the time, though. This one doesn't look like it's been opened before. I don't see duplicated tape, and it doesn't look as yellow. So there's that. Same kind of packing, so that is nice. And inside here I see the same pamphlet and stand. So those look like common items to them. Okay, so this is a bamboo sword, and I think this was like the specialty item that they had. All right. So it's like a Zatoichi style sword. At a glance, straight. Bohi are reasonably clean. That's nice. The habaki is better fit here. Nothing appears to be loose. Tension is about right. It's straight. It has some nice carvings in it. So this, at a glance, is, I mean, it's kind of cool looking. It has a nice wood finish. I can make out some details. It does look like the scabbard and handle are different pieces rather than like one piece of wood. This looks like a different piece. The grain is different, but I believe, again, this is like a $200 item, so I'm not being too picky-choosy kind of thing over here. The carving and whatnot is kind of cool. The concern that I have is that, well, there are 2 pegs here, worth noting that. The concern that I have is that with a lot of Japanese-style swords, so if you draw this out and you want to whack something with it, right? These are probably just glued together, and so there's a mechanical connection here by the 2 pegs, and then it's glued together, but there's no cord wrap, there's no ito wrapped around it, there's no samigawa, there's nothing, and these bands don't look, it doesn't look like there's anything, any cord or anything like that holding it together. So when I go to using it, it'll be interesting to see how long this handle holds together, because I suspect that it might not necessarily hold up long, at least with, you know, impacting and doing some aggressive stuff. Again, this looks like a through-hardened blade. Nothing much to mention, other than the bohi. I mean, it's not full of ripples, so that is at least very nice. And it is a handsome and interesting kind of Zatoichi cane sword. I like the detailing of the carving it out to look like bamboo. That is neat. Nothing rattles. Well, not a lot anyway. This way it does, not side to side. So a little bit of rattle. The other one is this guy, and I don't... Fidestisan something something. So this arrived in a slightly different box. It came in an Amazon box. I just wasn't sure what it was initially. And then I saw it was a Fidestisan one. It arrived separately from the others, but had an Amazon box. And I'm just going to try not to make a giant mess, which is impossible when you open sword boxes. It's so hard to tell where the seam is. I cut it all in the wrong spot. Okay. Alright. You go down here. Alright, so the previous kind of foam is preferred. This is well packaged, but I don't personally like vacuuming up all these little white spores of foam. So it's all right, you know, it's not the end of the world. Wah, me and the review samples, right? But as a note for vendors, this arrived safe. It's not bad, but the corrugate also does the job and doesn't make a mess on my floor. So those are the preferred. Oof, yep. All right, we have some sort of wakizashi. Right away, the thing that I notice is that it's got this little lump right here. And it's loosey. So the ito is like rolls under here. I'm not sure what it is, but this is loose. Right away, that seems not ideal. Okay, a little rattle. It's got ito tied over the top. I can move it around pretty easily. This ito moves around. It has like a lacquered feeling to it, or waxed or something. It has like a tacky feeling to it, but it moves rather than being tightened. Can make out 2 Mikugi pegs. Pretty simple Fujikashira. They're not loose. That's not loose. Okay. Remove the sword condom. We have a wakizashi. I make out some very faint hamon blemish. Now, what Fidestisan is doing, the bohi in this kind of wanders just a little bit, but is not full of ripples. Their bohi are remarkably smooth in comparison to a lot of other vendors. But that is a cosmetic thing that isn't necessarily the end all be all of things. Just something that's hard to do. So it's nice to see it done well here. There's some questionable choices on Ito though, and structural integrity of handles. All of the Ito, this one feels unacceptably loose. I can move it around. It's displacing and starting to look ugly and get wonky. This is not particularly tight. I don't know how much this is, but I'd suspect, again, under $200. I think that was all the items that were being sent. Kind of a cool feeling sword. It's not bad in the hand. It's black and neat looking. You know, it'll be fun to test out. At the same time, like the Ito, well, I like this waxy feeling, honestly, but the Ito is loose, and that's throwing me off a little bit. Not like comically loose, it's going to fall apart immediately, but I can really feel it. Ito, this substance here, in a perfect world, everything is so tight that if you push on it, it doesn't move at all. It doesn't move even a little. If a 200 plus pound man just take my mass and just wrench on it, it doesn't move. That's ideal. Does anyone get that? Very, very rarely. Not in the mass production realm of swords. So it's not really expected, but that's kind of the standard maybe that you're shooting for. That's the moon, right? Acceptable is maybe like a millimeter or so. You can kind of displace it. It takes a lot of oomph, but you can push it. It just doesn't go easily. So that's in the realm of good. Bad is when I can just freely move it around. I can expose the side angles. What that means is that eventually this will probably come undone, and it's very expensive to have these rewrapped by anyone competent in the US. So it's an expensive repair to do, and it looks unsightly, and also it doesn't feel great. So if you're using this and moving it around, this loose stuff is, I don't know, like not tying your shoes or something. It just doesn't give you a good connection to what you're trying to do, and it can be dangerous, and it makes you feel out of control, or at least not as in control of the weapon as you'd like to be. So tight Ito, well-made handles are an important thing. If they're clumsy looking, that's one thing, but loose is not ideal regardless of the price you pay. Some of it might be expected. You can do some tricks though. I'm not sure how it'll hold with this because it's kind of waxy feeling, and I don't know what they coated the Ito with to make it feel this way. But typically you can take the silk and most Itos and take a $5 can of lacquer from Home Depot, spray it on the handle, and it kind of tightens and glues things down. So that might work here. I'm not sure if it will be resistant to that or not, but that's typically a solution where if you get something that is loose while it's still in good shape, lock it down with some lacquer. That usually holds it pretty tight. Anyway, they arrived safe. The boxes were undamaged. I like their packing, generally speaking. The blades are all in oil. I don't spot any rust, though I'm not cleaning it off. And the Katana, I have to do some work on this. I am noticing this transition is unsightly. The Ito on this particular piece is not great, though I don't know how much it is. If this is a like sub $50 sword or something like that, then it's all fair game, I suppose. But if this is $200, then I would say that this kind of Ito is not great. I'm not sure how much it is. Anyway, that's where I'm going to stop here for the moment. I don't have any other swords to review or unbox from Fidestisan at the moment. These are the three they sent me. You will see them featured in future reviews. Those are my initial impressions, getting them out of the box. Hopefully you found it interesting. Thanks as well to Fidestisan Katana. Hopefully I'm saying the name right. If I'm not, correct me so I can say it correctly in the reviews. But thank you for sending these my way. I will review them in time, and if anyone has any questions or wants to know anything that should be included in the reviews or any suggestions, throw it in the commentary down below, and I will endeavor to include it if I am able. That's all I've got. Cheers, and thanks for watching.